Chapter 5, Mishnah 6. Having completed the listing of Beis Shammai's lenient decisions, the Mishnah returns to the previous topic of the Tractate, namely the testimonies of various Tanaim. Akavya ben Mahalalel testified about 4 matters, which were disputed by the other sages of his time. The sages said to him, Akavya, reverse your opinion about the 4 matters that you used to say in the name of earlier sages, and we will appoint you the Av Beis Din, chief of the court for the Jewish people. Akavya replied to them, it is preferable for me to be called a fool all the days of my life and not become a wicked person for even one moment before God by rejecting the tradition I received from the previous generation. And even if I did reverse my opinion, I would not accept the position of Av Beis Din so that people should not say that Akavya reversed his opinions for the sake of obtaining a position of authority. The first 2 testimonies of Akavya are presented together. The first testimony concerns one of the signs of confirmed saras. The second one addresses which discharges from a woman are considered nida blood. He, Akavya, would declare a white discoloration of the skin tame as saras based on a white hair that was left on deposit from a previous occurrence of saras. That is, if a hair inside a nega, discolored patch of skin, turned white, and the nega then disappeared for a time and returned while those white hairs were still present, Akavya ruled that the new nega was considered confirmed saras, based on the white hairs that were left over from the previous nega. And Akavya also ruled that discharge of yellow blood is nida blood and thus tame. The sages, however, declare both of these tahor. The third dispute concerns hair that fell off a bechor animal that became blemished. He, Akavya, would also permit benefiting from hair that fell off a blemished bechor while the animal was alive, which the Kohen who owned it had placed in a cubbyhole for safekeeping, and he then slaughtered the animal. However, the sages prohibit having benefit from the hair that fell out during the bechor's lifetime. This was decreed to prevent Kohanim from keeping a blemished bechor alive in order to collect a large amount of wool from it before slaughtering it. The longer a blemished bechor remains alive, the greater the likelihood that someone will shear the animal or put it to work in violation of Torah law. The fourth dispute centers on whether certain women who are suspected of being unfaithful to their husbands are excluded from undergoing the test of drinking the bitter waters in the temple. He, Akavya ben Mahalalel, used to say, we do not give the bitter waters to drink either to a convert who secluded herself with a man in violation of her husband's warning, or to a freed Canaanite slave woman who was married and did this. But the sages say we do give them the bitter waters to drink. The Mishnah reports a case that supports the sages' position and the exchange about it that followed between Akavya and the sages. The sages said to Akavya, an incident involving a certain Har Chemis, a freed Canaanite slave woman, once took place in Jerusalem, and Shemaiah and Avtalyon had her drink the bitter waters. This proves that we do give sota water to a freed Canaanite slave or to a convert. Akavya replied to them, this is not a proof. They gave her sota water to drink only because they were just like her, being converts themselves. Although she should actually have been exempt from drinking, as I maintain, still they understood the law to mean that she could drink because they were predisposed towards treating converts exactly the same as born Jews. The sages viewed this response as an insult to Shemaiah and Avtalyon, and they therefore placed Akavya under ban for saying this. Akavya died in a state of having been banned, and the court stoned his coffin. Atana disputes this version of the story. Rabbi Yehuda says, heaven forbid that anyone should say that Akavya was placed under a ban. For on Erev Pesach, the doors of the temple courtyard did not close on anyone in the entire Jewish people who was as great in wisdom and in fear of sin as Akavya ben Mahalalel. That is, there was no one in his generation that was his equal. It is thus inconceivable that someone possessing his level of Torah scholarship and piety could ever have spoken disrespectfully about Shemaiah and Avtalon. Rather, who was it that they placed under ban? It was Elazar ben Hanoch, who slighted the rabbinic requirement of purifying the hands. And when he died, the court sent its agents and they placed a stone on his coffin. This teaches you that when anyone is placed under ban and dies in a state of banning, the court would stone his coffin.